The night passed. Mr. Fogg went to bed, but did he sleep? Auda did not once close her eyes. Passepartout watched all night, like a faithful dog, at his master's door. Mr. Fogg called him in the morning, and told him to get out his breakfast, and a cup of tea and a chop for himself. He desired Auda to excuse him from breakfast and dinner, as his time would be absorbed all day in putting his affairs to rights. In the evening he would ask permission to have a few moments' conversation with the young lady. Passepartout, having received his orders, had nothing to do but obey them. He looked at his imperturbable master, and could scarcely bring his mind to leave him. His heart was full, and his conscience tortured by remorse, for he accused himself more bitterly than ever of being the cause of the irretrievable disaster. Yes. If he had warned Mr. Fogg, and had betrayed Fix's projects to him, his master would certainly not have given the detective passage to Liverpool, and then. Passepartout could hold in no longer. "My master! Mr. Fogg!" he cried, "why do you not curse me?" "It was my fault that—" "I blame no one," returned Phileas Fogg, with perfect calmness. "Go!" Passepartout left the room, and went to find Auda, to whom he delivered his master's message. "Madam," he added, "I can do nothing myself, nothing. I have no influence over my master, but you, perhaps." "What influence could I have?" replied Auda. "Mr. Fogg is influenced by no one. Has he ever understood that my gratitude to him is overflowing? Has he ever read my heart? My friend, he must not be left alone an instant. You say he is going to speak with me this evening?" "Yes, madam, probably to arrange for your protection and comfort in England." "We shall see," replied Auda, becoming suddenly pensive. Throughout this day, Sunday, the house in Savile Row was as if uninhabited, and Phileas Fogg, for the first time since he had lived in that house, did not set out for his club when Westminster clock struck 11:30. Why should he present himself at the Reform? His friends no longer expected him there. As Phileas Fogg had not appeared in the saloon on the evening before, Saturday, the 21st of December, at 9:15, he had lost his wager. It was not even necessary that he should go to his bankers for the £20,000, for his antagonists already had his cheque in their hands, and they had only to fill it out and send it to the Barings to have the amount transferred to their credit. Mr. Fogg, therefore, had no reason for going out, and so he remained at home. He shut himself up in his room, and busied himself putting his affairs in order. Passepartout continually ascended and descended the stairs. The hours were long for him. He listened at his master's door, and looked through the keyhole, as if he had a perfect right so to do, and as if he feared that something terrible might happen at any moment. Sometimes he thought of Fix, but no longer in anger. Fix, like all the world, had been mistaken in Phileas Fogg, and had only done his duty in tracking and arresting him, while he, Passepartout. This thought haunted him, and he never ceased cursing his miserable folly. Finding himself too wretched to remain alone, he knocked at Auda's door, went into her room, seated himself, without speaking, in a corner, and looked ruefully at the young woman. Auda was still pensive. About 7:30 in the evening Mr. Fogg sent to know if Auda would receive him, and in a few moments he found himself alone with her. Phileas Fogg took a chair, and sat down near the fireplace, opposite Auda. No emotion was visible on his face. Fogg returned was exactly the Fogg who had gone away, there was the same calm, the same impassibility. He sat several minutes without speaking, then, bending his eyes on Auda. "Madam," said he, "will you pardon me for bringing you to England?" "I, Mr. Fogg," replied Auda, checking the pulsations of her heart. "Please let me finish," returned Mr. Fogg. "When I decided to bring you far away from the country which was so unsafe for you, I was rich, and counted on putting a portion of my fortune at your disposal, then your existence would have been free and happy. But now I am ruined." "I know it, Mr. Fogg," replied Auda, "and I ask you in my turn, will you forgive me for having followed you, and, who knows, for having, perhaps, delayed you, and thus contributed to your ruin?" "Madam, you could not remain in India, and your safety could only be assured by bringing you to such a distance that your persecutors could not take you. So, Mr. Fogg, resumed Ouda, not content with rescuing me from a terrible death, you thought yourself bound to secure my comfort in a foreign land? Yes, madam, but circumstances have been against me. Still, I beg to place the little I have left at your service. But what will become of you, Mr. Fogg? As for me, madam, replied the gentleman, coldly, I have need of nothing. But how do you look upon the fate, sir, which awaits you? As I am in the habit of doing. At least, said Ouda, one should not overtake a man like you. Your friends,